Hi everyone. I'm Andrea. I'm the community and events manager here at Remotely. I'm tuning in from Bucharest, Romania, and I will be your co-host for today. I want to thank you for attending this session and swiftly introduce our guest for today. Lena has over 15 years of experience in the corporate arena, consulting, training, and designing systems for global clients. In 2019, she left her career to find her passion and purpose in life. Now, Lena is an award-winning entrepreneur and international speaker on a mission to bridge the gap between the corporate and spiritual worlds. She believes that the real key to success and fulfilled life is self-knowledge. Lena, thank you so much for being here. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Andrea, for having me, and thanks, guys, for all of you to coming to join us from all these different countries. And I've mentioned earlier, for those of you who just jumped in a bit later, please make sure you've got a pen and paper ready, because part of the session is going to be practical, and I'm sure you're going to absolutely love it. So yeah, just grab a pen and paper. And another thing I'm going to say is that we're going to have a few pauses, like few Q&A sessions or breaks rather through the presentation. So that if anything, unclear or you want to find out more about, just stop it in the chat, and then me and Andrea will pick it up. And at the end, we can then unmute and have a bit of a Q&A session, if you like. So with that said, I'm actually going to start by stating something really, really obvious, but maybe something you haven't considered before. And that's the fact that everything that has ever been achieved and created had started in someone else's imagination, as a thought, as an idea, and as a concept. I mean, Wright brothers, they used their imagination to launch a first powered airplane into, up in the air. And Nikola Tesla, he visualized his work in such great detail that by the time it came to put it into practice, it saved them a lot of time and effort and money. But the thing is, in order to turn our imagination into something tangible, into a physical reality, imagining alone isn't enough. And that's why I believe that imagination gets a bad rap, or maybe it's just not used as commonly as it should be, because without knowing how to extract those thoughts, ideas, and concepts we planted into there and make it our reality, it can just remain as a dream, as a fantasy. But when we know how to access it and how to apply it, it can literally change our entire lives. And so today I'm going to be sharing with you 4 pillars of successful goal setting and also achieving model, which will help you to bring your goals into a physical reality a lot easier and a lot faster. And we're going to be looking at the 4 key elements, which is energy, emotions, imagination, and decisions. So I'm super excited. Let's start. Let's start with energy. Energy is our highest currency. It's something my mentor said to me years ago, and it stuck to me forever. She said, Lena, energy is your highest currency, not the money. Back then, I couldn't get it, but now I understand it completely. And the thing is, guys, wherever our focus goes, our energy flows. And our energy directly impacts our ability to achieve our goals. And that is why we really have to start using it in the way it was meant to be used, and stop wasting it on things that don't deserve it. In other words, we have to pay more attention to things that drain us and the things that energize us. We've got to pay more attention to our daily activities, to people we spend our time with, to information we consume, including social media, news, the books we read, and also our thoughts and emotions, because every single thing in our lives either will add to our energy or take away from it. And that all starts by us getting into alignment with our energetic blueprints that shows us how genetically we are wired to use our energy and also exchange it with the world and with people around us. Because you see, the thing is, we're not just all unique on a physical, biological, chemical levels, but energetically too. And every single one of us has our own energetic blueprint that shows us how our energy flows and how we are uniquely designed to stay productive and also achieve our goals with ease. So this energetic blueprint is presented to us via our energy type. And energy type is a foundation of a framework called human design. So I'm very curious. We've got 12 people, well, apart from me, 12. Anyone here has heard of human design before? Let me know in the chat. And if you have heard of it, let me know what your human design energy type is. If you guys haven't heard of human design, I'm sure a lot of you must have come across personality frameworks like Myers-Briggs, this Strength Finder. So human design builds on that and introduces an energetic component to it. And as such, it has a potential to transform how we work and also how we live our lives, because it shows us the mechanics of how we are wired to operate and where our true potential lies. Now, there are 5. I'm just seeing who's here familiar with human design. Yeah. So there are 5 energy types. And in this room, in our Zoom, we're going to have a mix of 5 types. And every type have their own sort of strength, the core skills, and the way they are wired to stay productive, to achieve the goals, to stay energized throughout the day is different for each type. So these 5 types are a generator, manifesting generator, projector, manifest, and reflector. So let's actually dive into each one of them. And then at the end of the session, if you're curious, I can share a link with you so that you can generate your own type and see which one, you think resonated with the most. So the first step I'm going to start with are the manifestors. And manifestors, they make roughly 7 to 9% of population. And these are the people with energy to initiate, to start things, to be the first, to get the ball rolling. The interesting thing about these people, firstly, they don't just start one thing at a time. They start many things. And then they don't have the energy to finish what they start. And I often, whenever I work with manifestors, my daughter is a manifestor. So, but especially when you get to older years, those people kind of beat themselves up. It's like, oh, I've started all these things, but I just ran out of passion, ran out of energy. I don't know what to do next. But this is how their energy flows. They are here to start things, not to finish them. And for that reason, manifestors need people to help them finish what they start. And that's why communication is the key for them. Because by informing other people of their actions, they can firstly let other people know what they're up to, because it's really hard to keep up with them. And second of all, they can get support of other people to help them finish what they start. Without that key components of communicating of their actions, they can be actually seen as people who start but don't finish things. And I'm sure we know at least like one person like that in our lives. So when it comes to goal setting, manifestors, they're really encouraged to dream those big, bold goals and then talk about them, write about them, post about them. Because remember, wherever our attention goes, our energy flows. And the more energy we give to something, the faster we can make it our physical reality. The next 2 types are the generators and manifesting generators. So these are the majority of people in the world, and they are here to work, to build, to create. These people are the only 2 types that have consistent energy, and they generate that energy from within themselves by doing things that they love. And they're just as simple as that. And the more passionate and excited they feel about what they do, the more energy they have. And when there is no excitement, there is very little and sometimes no energy. So the advice for generators always to focus on things that energize them and excite them. I mean, just to give you a quick example, I'm a generator, and back, in my corporate career, I was a computer programmer. And I remember this project you were working on like 24/7. I don't even think I slept in like 3 days, but I felt this abundance of energy where I could literally just go and go and go. And after, we went live, the project went live, I finally went home and I slept. I came back to the office and the manager asked me like to document my code, something that should have taken me like half a day, guys, stretched into weeks. And I never finished it. That task wiped me out. Why? Because I'm not passionate about documentation, but I really loved coding back then. So my advice, for generators, because even though they have this tremendous energy to work and they're like those go-getters, they can make anything happen, move mountains with their energy, is to always prioritize the excitement. So when it comes, like to the first, let's say you wake up in the morning, it's like, what is the thing I'm more driven, more excited to do, and start your day with that as much as possible because it increases your energy. And remember, your energy is your highest currency. So when it comes to goal setting, the sky really is the limit for generators. There's nothing, they can't do as long as they attach their goals to their excitement rather than to expectations of other people. And the next step are projectors. So projectors roughly make 19-20% of population. And unlike generators, they don't have that consistent energy to do things. They're not here to work traditional 9 to 5 hours. And in order for them to maintain the energy, putting those times of pause and breaks throughout the day is absolutely vital, because one of the things, actually interesting things about projectors is that the more they rest, the more energized they feel. And the more energized they feel, the more efficient and effective they become. Efficiency is literally embedded into their DNA. They're extremely efficient, much more efficient than manifestors and generators. And another one of the gifts is to be able to see and unlock potential in other people, potentials that people can't even see within themselves. And that's what makes them really good guys and leaders, CEOs, and the energy best flows when the work maybe in smaller groups or even one-on-one. So when it comes to setting goals for projectors, the advice is to focus on quality over quantity. And then when that little piece is done, to check with themselves, do I have the energy to do something else? And that's a really important question for them to ask themselves, because if the answer is no, and that's, it takes kind of shifting our paradigm from I need to do things to be productive to more I've got to balance my energy, right? So for them, energy is crucial. It's maybe even taking 10 minutes to go for a walk or have a cup of tea, because once they're rested, once they energized, once they reset their energy, this, as I said, they can literally move mountains in a lot more efficient way than generators can. And the last type I'm going to mention here are reflectors. So reflectors, as you can see, they are very rare. I've only met, I think, 2 reflectors in about 3.5 years I've been doing it. And reflectors, they're like our mirrors. They literally mirror us, who we are being. They mirror us, the health of our society, teams, organizations, family. And for reflectors to thrive, to feel energized, they've got to be in that environment, in a nurturing environment, surrounded by people that they like and trust. Another thing, the advice really for reflectors, especially when it comes to goal setting, is to, well, firstly, prioritize the environment. Environment is also, obviously important for all of us, but for them, it can be a deal breaker. And another thing is when it comes to goal settings, to ask themselves, how does it make me feel, rather than look around what others are doing. So like, for example, like generators, they are really good at trying to meet others' expectations, and sometimes they sacrifice their own happiness and their own fulfillment. And that's the key to the achieving goals. While reflectors, they have a tendency to compare themselves to others, and that also greatly impacts their ability. So advice for both types, especially focusing on feeling, how would that make me feel once I achieve the goals, rather than what would others think or what others are doing. I often say that setting goals is easy, right? But achieving them is a very different matter. And it's whether because of the challenges that come up on the way, or we don't know how. How is the big thing. Like, how am I going to do this? How? I don't see the end result. I don't know how that's possible. And they get stuck in this house and shoulds. And, we look around at what others are doing, we're comparing. And another big thing, guys, is that we push with the willpower, which is a very limited resource. And we also measure our productivity by time, which is another limited resource. But when we know how to use our energy correctly, this is when it becomes an infinite resource, because we'll be able to restore and renew our energy. And that's why, I've been studying, I've been in personal development. I've had like spiritual mentors and coaches. I've studied with, I don't know, like people around the world. And I haven't come across anything really better, in my personal opinion, than human design, because it can really show us how we operate and how to keep this energy constantly renewing. I had 3 burnouts in 1 year, and I'm a generator with abundance of energy. And just changing and tweaking a few things based on my human design has transformed my life. Earlier this year, I was a full-time contractor at Morgan Stanley. I've got my franchise where I hire 2 people, a full-time business. Also, I speak a lot. So I'm a keynote speaker. So I'm permanently writing my keynotes. I'm working. I've got 2 kids and they're pretty well fed. The clothes is clean. So I remember to look after them. And every single day, without a fail, at least 3 hours I take for myself, either to exercise and meditate, journal, whatever that is, whatever lifts my energy, just by doing the tweaks that I'm sharing with you today, right? So when we also then understand how we are meant to use our energy, we can start building routines that work for us. So for example, if you are a generator, the advice is always to start your day with something energizes you, something you feel most excited to do. Don't save the best for last. Start your day with this best, right? If you're a projector, then put the stops throughout the day, times when you can just pause and reflect, go for a walk. If you're a manifester, make sure to inform other people so that you can get the support to help you finish all these things that you've started. And if you're a reflector, make sure you're in the right environment. And lastly, I believe, understanding this information can finally help us stop comparing ourselves to each other, right? Because remember, wherever our attention goes, our energy flows. So whenever we look around to see how much others have achieved, why they're there yet and I'm not there, why they're being promoted, I'm not there, whatever that is, we are leaking, we're wasting so much of our energy. But when we truly understand how unique we all are, we will finally stop comparing, right? We'll stop judging. We'll stop all of this blaming and shaming ourselves and others. And we start then working as our whole true sovereign selves. So I'm going to have a little Q&A here, guys. If you've got any questions in terms of human design, and let me know if any of the types have resonated with you. We spoke about 5 energy types. If anyone you went like, oh, that's me, or maybe you thought it was like a combination of a couple of energy types, let me know. I'm quite curious to hear. Cool.
I have one question, Lina. Pooja here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, similar to Strength Finder, is there any Q&A, any survey through which we find what type of human design we have?
Yes, I'm going to share it with you in the end. There is a website where you can just go and it's very simple human design. You don't need to answer questions. All you need is your date, time, and place of birth. And I've played with it for years. The time can be approximate, unless you want to get all of the intricacies. But if it's just to generate your type, you can just put an approximate time of birth and it shows you. And then you can also actually read a little bit about it.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Anyone else got any questions before we carry on? I can't see the chats. Oh, there you go. Chat is back.
Yeah, I see some question from Ambrin. Do you see it?
Is it yeah, I'm curious about how to conserve energy as hectic routine drains energy. Well, that's what I was saying. I mean, have a look at your type when I share it at the end and generate your human design and also read up on it, if that calls to you. So it really depends. Let's say if you're a generator, and I'm referring most to generators because majority of people are, there is something in your day, have a look at your schedule. What is it? What tasks are you doing? And maybe prioritize them in 3 categories. 1, I'm really excited to do them. 2, I'm okay at doing them. And 3, it completely drains me. So start your day with something that you're mostly excited about. Okay, even if it's like a small thing, maybe like go for a walk, whatever. It doesn't even need to be work related. We're so obsessed about all the tasks we need to do in our jobs that we overlook other things that make us excited. But even, let's say if you work out in the evening and that really gives you joy, maybe put that first thing in the morning to raise your energy, because when you vibrate at the high level of energy, firstly, you will see by the time you get to do things that drain you, you may actually feel very different by the time you get to it, because you're like, oh yeah, I'll just do that. And you get through that in half time. And it happened to me so many times. Or the best thing that happens when you're literally on that high energy, you start attracting people and opportunities, and just crazy synchronicities happen to you. And by the time you get to the task that normally would drain you, it just got done somehow, or it's not even important anymore. So play around with that. But I mean, I think, separating your day into 3 slots and paying attention to things that drain you, and see, maybe you can even also do task swapping. It depends, what is it? Is it in your job that something drains you, in your personal life? So when I was working full time, I used to do task swapping with my colleagues. I already mentioned I hate documentation. So I would take some of her stuff to do and she would do mine. So a couple of suggestions to play with. But I think generating human design will help you understand. All right, guys, let's move on to emotions. Emotions. Now, our emotions set our goal emotions, right? And how we handle our emotions will literally impact what we will to achieve. And we all know, right, that high quality emotions, when you feel passion and joy and happiness and fulfillment, it increases your energy. And remember, energy is the highest currency, and it directly impacts our ability to achieve our goals. While negative emotions such as resentment, anger, frustration, fear, judgment, guilt, whatever, I mean, there's countless, right? They drain our energy, they lower our vibe, and actually distract us from what needs to be done. And when you wake up in the morning feeling like crap, you're like, oh, I've got to go to this office, oh, I've got to do this thing. You get in a car and you like hit every single red light, maybe even get a flat tire on the way. And the next time you'll wake up in a great mood, you go to work, somebody even brings you coffee to your desk. It's very different. And that's because every single thing responds to our energy, and our emotions, they directly impact our energy. But the thing, what we need to really, really understand is that emotions we feel, they don't just manifest out of thin air. They don't just like come out of nowhere. Actually, before I'm going to tell you where our emotions come from, I'm curious in a chat to hear, where do you think our emotions come from? What do you think drives our emotions? Let me know. There's no wrong or right answer. Yes. Perfect. Thanks, Andrea. I'm going to stop right there. Exactly. So our thoughts, our beliefs generate our emotions. And what is the belief? It's just a bunch of thoughts, or a thought that we've thought over and over again until it became our beliefs. And depending on our beliefs, we experience our emotions. Depending on our emotion, we start behaving and acting in a certain way, and then it becomes our identity, our personality. And that's what we identify. I'm a perfectionist. I get angry when this and this happens. I get so frustrated. I'm impatient, and we associate their emotions with I am. And we literally put that sticky, yucky label onto our identity. Okay, and we're masking ourselves from the truth of who we are. So that's why it's important for us to understand is that we never react to the circumstances. We react to our thoughts about the circumstances, right? And that's why, let's say 2 people can be in the same situation, and one will have this explosion of anger or sadness, and another person is like, what just happened? They'll have no response. So maybe they will actually be quite excited, right? Because we don't react to circumstances, we react to our thoughts about circumstances. And let's say, if I called you like a pink elephant right now, I'm sure most of you would like, well, she's just being weird or like silly, you'll have no thoughts about the pink elephants. But if I say to you, you like your mother or you like your father, that can provoke a different emotional response from you, depending on your thoughts about your parents. Some of you may get this like warm, fuzzy feeling and say, oh, thank you, Lena. And others will be like, bloody hell, how dare she, right? So, and the problem is, guys, without cleaning up, without introducing this thoughts and belief hygiene, which impacts our emotions, it will be really harder to achieve what you want. It will be really hard for us to manifest our goals, to achieve our goals, because we're projecting two different things up, well, into the universe, into our reality, right? On one side of us, let's say you want to become a CEO of the company. It's like your soul's mission to run this multi-million-dollar company. You want it, you desire it in your heart and soul. But then the monkey mind goes, but what about the kids? When are you going to feed them? You're going to sacrifice so much. You're not worthy. You don't have enough experience. So it's like almost going to this restaurant, sitting with the menu and telling us, well, giving waiter like 100 different options and telling them you're allergic to all of them. The poor person is going to be completely confused. And that's what you do most of the time. And this is why it's really, really important for us to start identifying those emotional triggers and identifying the thoughts, the beliefs that are causing those triggers to happen, and shifting them and changing them. And that actually starts, guys, with becoming aware, with awareness, right? Because a lot of us, we get into a habit of suppressing, repressing, denying, running away from our emotions, the negative emotions, right? We don't like to feel angry or sad or whatever, But by doing that, we can never get to the root cause of the problem. And in fact, what we're doing, we're driving those feelings, our emotions, deeper and deeper into the jungle of our subconscious minds. Really, like going and just burying them with a whole pile of sand and mud on top of it. And then it will get a lot harder for us to actually get them out of their inner surface. And I believe it was Carl Jung who said, unless you make your subconscious or unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and call it fate. And that's why we self-sabotage. That's the only reason, because we're bearing everything inside of us. But so instead, we really need to start bringing those emotions out onto the surface, into our conscious mind, by becoming present to them, by becoming aware of them. Because by doing that, we will be able to see the pattern, right? And what I mean by that, you will be able to see which emotion keeps coming up within you. For example, here at your office and your colleague says something to you and you flare up, you feel angry. So maybe instead of reacting, you're like, oh, okay, anger is coming up. The next, like let's say later, you come home and your partner or your mom, your dad, whoever, your kids, they say something to you and you feel the same emotion, anger. Okay. Then later on, you go to the supermarket to pick up some groceries and somebody's behaving in a way you don't agree with, and that triggers you, that causes anger. So now you can see there are three different completely circumstances, but the same emotion keeps coming up. So maybe that's when you become aware, hang on a second, I can try to change everybody around me, which is like ridiculous. We know we can do that. Or I can take accountability for my emotion and actually try to understand where it's coming from, right? Because remember, it's not emotion, don't just manifest out of thin air. It's something that's within our thoughts, within our belief system that causes us to feel that way. So once you become aware of it, guys, the next step, and that's a big one, to accept it. We often like so compassionate and be so accepting of others, but yet we beat ourselves up for the smallest things. We just have no self-compassion. We don't accept ourselves for everything, for good, for the bad and ugly. And that's the only way we can truly accept someone else, because we can't give something to someone that we don't have for ourselves first. And accepting whatever's coming up is the key. So, for example, let's stick with the angry example. If anger is coming up, then accept it. I'm feeling angry, okay, without any judgments, without any thoughts of why they did that, they shouldn't have done that. If you only did this 20 years ago, my teacher told me, and all all of the stories. No, just let all of this go and become present. Accept that that's what's coming up, right? Because what happens normally is we try to justify why we feel this way. And then we get stuck in this thinking and feeling loop. We think we feel, we think we feel, we think we feel, and then we need a bottle of wine to actually break out of it, right? Or have a fight with someone to release it, to tell them, to give them a piece of our minds. But actually, no, you know, just let it, all this junk go and accept it. Because by accepting it, by sitting with it, you begin to release it. And all emotion is, guys, is energy in motion. That's all. Remember, everything is energy. And by accepting your emotions, by sitting with it, you begin to move this emotion through your body and then release it. You release this junk, this clunk that you've been carrying for so many years. And this release can come in different forms, you know. Sometimes if it's a small thing, you can just yawn because you're moving your energy. Tears is the best way to release it. So I don't advise it to you to do that, you know, when you're sitting in a boardroom meeting with someone. But if something triggered you at work, you may want to come home and just replay this scenario and try to bring up that feeling and sit with it and feel it. Sometimes it can just burn in your heart or like a lump in your throat. It all comes up in different ways. But you will see that this negative feelings will flow out of you eventually, and you will release all this junk that's keeping you away from what you truly want. And the last step here is to rewire, because remember, it's our beliefs and our thoughts that drive our emotions. So now that you've kind of, you know, when you release this emotion, it will literally move out of you. But if the same situation happens again, your thoughts still haven't changed. So now you've got to start rewiring your thinking. And the most powerful things I found in my experience to use is this. So let's say you're feeling angry. What you can start saying to, and you're feeling angry, maybe the thought behind why am I feeling angry can be, nobody respects me. Well, firstly, ask yourself, is it absolutely true? The answer is probably going to be no, because there must be at least one person in the universe who respects you. So this is what you can start then using. I'm in a process of accepting myself. I'm learning to become the better version of myself. I'm stepping into this incredible bubble of self-love. I'm becoming the most authentic, honest person. And the reason why I'm not suggesting to use like I'm confident, I'm lovable, I'm this, I'm that, because it depends how far you are on this journey. But sometimes what can happen, if you tell yourself, I'm confident, I'm valuable, I'm whatever, appreciated, I'm loved, your mind, I call it the monkey mind, will say to you, no, you're not. No, you're not. And trying to convince your mind of something, it so firmly holds onto this identity of something that is in truth is hard. Well, this is like softening it a bit. It's like, we've got nothing to argue. I'm in a process. Well, I'm not there yet, but I'm in a process. But it's much better and more powerful to say, I'm in a process of letting go of anger and resentment than saying, I'm freaking angry, right? There is a different vibration and different energy. And I promise you guys, if you keep on practicing this process, you will find that, you know, over time, those things that triggered you in the past, they literally have no control over you anymore. Imagine how free you will feel, where you can walk into any meeting, any company, any situation. People can say whatever the hell they like to you. And you're like, yeah, sure, that's your opinion. That's awesome, right? And the way you know that you have mastered your emotions is when your circumstances haven't changed, but the way you respond has. And it's a beautiful place to be in. So just to wrap up the section, so how exactly cultivating those high vibe, high energy emotion help us to achieve our goals? Well, first, they increase our energy, right? And we know energy already is our highest currency, and it impacts our ability to achieve our goals. Obviously, it increases our productivity and focus. We know when we feel happy, we just feel excited and passionate. We just want to do things. We just want to work on things. And not to mention improves our health, because remember, emotion is energy in motion. And when we don't allow ourselves to feel it, because in order to heal it, we have to feel it. When we don't allow ourselves to feel it, we suppress this energy, and not only negatively impacts our moods, but also our health. And there is tons of research have been done on suppressed emotions. So I'm not even going to go there. So before we get to our next session, quick check-in. How's everything? Have you guys got any little questions for me? If you do, just pop them in a chat, or you're welcome to keep it until end of the session. Because next section we're moving into is probably like the most exciting for me, at least. Just remember, before we can really start manifesting and achieving the goals, we've got to clear the clutter. We've got to clear the garbage and all of this heavy weights we've been carrying. We've got to get our energy up. We've got to clear, you know, it's like you climbing up the Everest, right? You may have a vision in the end, but if there's like so many clouds, you can't see where you're going. You're not going to reach it. So by clearing the emotions, by releasing them, you're clearing the way forward to climb up the mountain, so you can actually see like, huh, this is where I'm going to. Cool. All right. So we've got no questions. Beautiful. Let's get moving. Imagination. So imagination is, you know, I mean, a lot of great minds, right, have contributed their success to imagination. And I've already mentioned a couple like Nikola Tesla and what's his name was Nikola Tesla and Wright brothers, Thomas Edison. He used his imagination to light up, like literally light up our entire modern world. And in order to achieve our goals and to actually exceed our expectations, we really have to step outside our current circumstances and imagine the reality we want to create or the goals we want to achieve. And of course, we do that with our imagination. And I like what Albert Einstein says, logic will take you from A to B, while imagination will take you everywhere, right? And that's exactly what we're going to do right now. I hope you're excited. So, but before we jump into this exercise that I'm going to share with you in a minute, let's just quickly have a look. How exactly does it help us achieve our goals? Well, we already know, I mean, research has shown that imagination increases our creativity. And what does creativity help us do? It increases our innovation, right? And it helps us to also, it teaches our brain to see situations from a different perspectives and cuts through all of this mental clutter and noise. And as such, it enhances our problem-solving skills. And one of the reasons why we don't achieve our goals, and we've touched on it briefly in a previous section, is because of our limiting beliefs, right? It's the stories that we tell ourselves, about whether our age, education, our current circumstances, conditions. And with imagination, it literally helps you to see past all this bullshit. It helps you to see outside the box and break through your limiting beliefs. We're going to do, I would say, maybe 6 minutes process. I'm going to talk you through this now, but before I talk you through this, I want to share with you my personal story. So normally when I teach this properly, it takes about an hour to do this process, but trust me, even 6 minutes is, if you stick to it, it's going to change your life. So when I did it about 2 years ago, I did the entire process, and then I've summed it up into 11 bullet points. And the first bullet point was, I wanted to speak at international live events. And the second bullet point was, I wanted to see my family. They live in Ukraine and Germany. So that's a couple of no live events. And shortly, the war broke out between Russia and Ukraine. So I was like, oh, well, so much for that process. But I carried on playing with it, like meditating, journaling, whatever I could do. You know, I did my best. And then in July last year, I was invited to speak in Berlin at the Employee of the Future events, which took place in Berlin last year in October. And just before I went, I messaged my dad and I said, is there any chance you can get out of Ukraine to come to Germany where my cousin lives? And the day after the event, it was a beautiful event, like hundreds of people came. It was absolutely magnificent. I took a train to my cousin to Frankfurt. And when I walked in there was my cousin, her family. My aunt moved from Ukraine to Germany by that stage. And my dad managed to take literally the last train tickets for the night train. And he just arrived that morning. And every single thing, guys, out of 11 bullet points has manifested in my life. Every single one of them. But not a single one of them happened in the way my mind thought it would. And that's why I'm such a firm believer and lover of imagination. So what you're going to do for the next 5 minutes, you're going to pick one area of your life, right? Whether it's health, relationship, finance, whatever that is. And ask yourself this question. If anything was possible and I could not fail, what would I love to achieve? And then write. Write for 5 minutes and allow yourselves to dream big, like, and imagine you're already having it, you're already living in it. It's not like one day when I save money, it's done. It's a done deal. You've done it, you've achieved it. How would you be feeling? What would you be doing? What would you waking up to? Who would you be hanging out with? And then for the last minute, I will remind you when the last minute is, ask yourself, what would be even better than this? What would blow my mind? So what we're doing here is we are creating a vision beyond the vision. We're stretching your minds to see beyond your current reality. And as I said, nothing is off limits. Okay. Anybody has questions before we get started?
I just wanted to ask Lena, if I can, this
Sure.
imagination process, is this the same or a similar thing as something I found recently called scripting? Because people were saying, oh, this thing called scripting, that you just like write out the things that you want for your life, how you want it to look, and just keep writing it. But they said to do it for like a year. I mean, I haven't even gone into that like daily for a year. So I wanted to understand if it was a similar process to this scripting thing I came across.
Look, there's many processes. The thing is, it's not really what you do, but where you're coming from. And that's why feeling it is the most important thing. So, whatever, I mean, there's differences like 555 method I do, which really works for me. But this one, I just find even 5 minutes a day, because I know we're all busy people, 5 minutes a day, it creates wonders in your life. So play with this, play with the scripting, see which one resonates with you the most. And yeah, there's no right and wrong, it's just whatever you like, whatever excites you the most.
I also had a question,
Sure.
if I may ask. So you said to write it down, the imagination. So is it like we write down just one word or two words of what we want to achieve and imagine about it more than writing, or we write everything on the paper, like every detail?
Write as much detail as you want, because remember, wherever your attention goes, your energy flows. So you want to give it your energy. So let's say you want this beautiful house, okay? So now you can say, I wake up and then I put my feet into the slippers, and as I walk outside into the balcony, I see like this green lawn with like little fluffy bunnies running around. And and you basically just step into your imagination and just write about what your kitchen would look like, what this would look like. Doesn't really matter, if you like wanting a job, like what kind of job, which kind of people you want to work with, give it detail, give it color. How would you feel waking up to it? And then when the second part, when we go beyond that, what would be even better? So maybe like you look outside the balcony of your house and you see like a swimming pool with dolphins splashing around. You know what I mean? It's like, imagine. I mean, I promise you guys, everything I've written, I mean, and some things were like, I'm like, that's not going to happen. It happens, okay? Wherever our attention goes, our energy flows. Just give it your undivided attention for 5 minutes. Just whatever comes out. I promise you, and if nothing comes out, you just close your eyes and you just connect to your heart and just write from that space. Try to get out of the point of this process, to get you out of your head and more in touch with your emotions, okay? Andrea, have you got music ready? Andrea?
Yeah.
Have you got music ready?
Yeah. Can you
Okay,
hear
cool.
it
Do you want to play it? No, we can't hear it.
now?
Nope.
Just a second.
Okay. Well, guys, let's start writing, because okay, we've got 5 minutes. We're just gonna start out some music so you can start really getting into it. So let's do 5 minutes, and then in 5 minutes I will tell you when it's time to go to the next vision.
Can you hear it now?
No. I'll bring my phone and I'll just play it. Okay, guys, for this last minute, just ask yourself, what would be even better than this? And just really allow yourselves to go as big as you can. All right, guys, I hope you got something down. So I'm just curious to hear in the chat, how did you feel when you were writing this? What was the feelings that were coming up? Peaceful. Anyone else? Hope. Good. Good. So remember, as I said, everything is energy, right? Your feelings are energy, and the higher energy feelings you can cultivate, the faster you will achieve your goals, without a doubt. It's the law. It's physics. So whenever you feel yourself stuck in a house, I don't know, stuck in despair, doubt, fear, frustration, come back to this process as often as you can. If you don't have opportunity to write it, then just mentally, visually collect it. Even just put your hands on your heart, pause your daily life, switch the laptop, or just step away from the laptop and just connect to that feeling, because that will reset your energy. You will start getting innovative ideas, new ideas where you're like, how come I never thought of that? And that will propel you closer to your goals. All right. So the next section is we're going to move on decisions. And that's the last section. And that's the most crucial one, because we can imagine, we can pray, meditate, contemplate, whatever it is we like. But without making decisions and taking actions, we're actually not going to extract those thoughts, those ideas and concepts that we planted into our imagination. And in order to extract them, you really need to start rethinking the way we're making decisions, meaning that our logic, and that's how most of us make decisions, can only take us from A to B, just like without imagination, right? Our logic can take us from A to B. But because, let's say, if you've got a life big goal, or you want a big career goal that you've never done before, you don't know how to do that, which is logically you can't figure out. So we need to start tapping into our subconscious minds. And intuition is that roadmap that takes us into our subconscious minds. And research has already shown that our subconscious mind is a record of information, of everything we've experienced, witnessed, you've learned from the time we were born. And in addition to that, our subconscious mind processes data 27,000 times faster than our conscious mind is, which is why it helps us to make decisions instantly, especially in a complex situations. It acts as a voice of caution. How many times, like intuitively, like that voice within you told you, don't go, or like take a chance. And then we ignore that voice for the fear. What if happens? What would be the outcome? What would people think of me? So trusting that voice is vital on the journey towards your goals. And of course, intuition helps us to read people. From personal experience, I know that people always like either come to partner, collaborate, this and that. And sometimes, even though you really like the person, but they're just not in alignment with your vision, with your goal. So what are you going to do? Because it's so easy to get distracted. It's so easy to go, oh, you know what? Let me just go explore this opportunity. Or let me go focus on this. Let me try this out. But actually within you already know. That voice already tells you. It's like your compass. It's guiding you towards the next right step. And all we've got to learn is how to access it and activate it. And it starts, guys, by us slowing down. Like, because we mistakenly believe that slowing down means being lazy or unproductive. But opposite is true, because when we physically slow down, energetically, we speed up. And remember, energy is our highest currency. You know how sometimes you get so stuck in your head, you're like, I don't know how to figure this out. And then you go for a walk, you wash the dishes, you maybe just like sit on a couch, have a glass of wine, you're like, oh, that's it. Best ideas come to you. But those ideas are available to us all the time. We just need to know how to listen to them. And that starts by slowing down first. The next thing, guys, apologies for the slides. You've got to ask our intuition a question and then listen. Listen, right? If you can't listen when we're running from one thing to next. And when answers come, we've got to have the guts to act on them. I'll give you a very quick story. I was contracting to Morgan Stanley a few months ago, and Tim and I were circling around this issue for 2 weeks. We couldn't find a solution. And eventually I went like, I help people make decisions for a living. I teach intuition. Let me practice what I preach. So I went on a couch. Couch is my place to make my decisions. I put blindfolds on and I literally went, universe, show me the answer. And the answer was, go for a walk. I was like, okay, it's raining. I snapped my knees in yoga. That was a few months ago. I literally was in so much pain. And I had a meeting in half an hour. But I know better than to argue with that voice. So I went for a walk. Within 3 minutes, guys, 3 minutes, I had 1, 2, 3 answers pop into my mind. I called my team and they were like, how did you figure it out? And I said, I sat on a couch, I went for a walk, and the answers came. So 2 weeks, a team with no solution, 30 minutes with 3 solutions. And that's the thing, guys, slowing down and listening and just trusting. And you can start practicing with small things, right? Like, don't move a country based on your intuition if you've never done that before. Start practicing, like, what can I cook my family for dinner? You know, where can I take my kids? What can I do for my partner? Whatever. But just start tapping into that inner knowingness that every single one of us already has. And the next thing I want to share with you is that intuition is the language of the body, but the way we experience it is differently. And a common misconception is that it's always a gut feel or an instinct. And for some people, yes, but not for everyone. And that's why I love human design, because it shows us how we are genetically wired to listen to our intuition. So, and that's introduced to us through our human design authority. There are 7 different authorities, and I'm just going to briefly mention 3 here. So the first one over here, it's called trust your gut, or a sacral authority. And people with this authority, they are literally wired to make instant decisions following their guts, right? This is my authority. And for me, it's like, it's either expansion and this like kind of a burning, tingling sensation around my gut, or it's a contraction and like I almost like pull away. And following that, I've never, ever, ever made a decision that I had to second guess. Maybe in the beginning when I was playing with it, but you know, playing with it was so much fun, because all you can do, if you've got a sacral authority, you can just get your family, your friends to ask you simple yes and no questions and then respond to them without thinking. That's going to be the right decision for you. And the next one here is called self-projected. So people with this authority, they need sounding board. They find clarity through their voice. They come to you for advice, but in fact, they don't care about your advice. They need to talk it all out and then find the next right step for them. And this one here is called an emotional authority. And people with emotional authority, they are not wired to make spontaneous decisions. Like, for example, sacral, whoever's got sacral authority. With emotional authority, people actually, they go through a chemical process. They ride an emotional wave, and making decision at the height of the wave, either not going to be the best choice for them, or something even better would have happened if they waited. So they really shouldn't be rushing into making decisions. And the best thing they can do is just to say, let me sleep on it. I will get back to you. So as you can see, you know, we are very different human beings, and understanding how to listen to intuition just helps you then to connect to your body and start listening to the right information. And all I'm saying is it's like a muscle, right? You know, like, I don't know if you ever run a marathon. I used to run a lot of them. And it's not something, you know, you go to the treadmill, you push the button and you go, doesn't work. You'll persist. Same as with this, except it's more fun practicing your intuition than training for a marathon. Trust me. So let's wrap this up. Yeah. We spoke about 4 pillars of successful goal setting, and everything, guys, is our energy. Everything responds to our energy. So we spoke about how human design helps you to get into alignment with your energetic blueprint and optimize your productivity, and also help you to achieve your goals faster and easier. Emotions drive our goals in motion, right? And positive emotions uplift us, help us to get to our goals faster, and negative drain us. And we spoke about how we can start cultivating emotions, positive emotions, but allowing ourselves to feel all of it, the good and bad and ugly, to remove this garbage and junk that's been stored in our energetic bodies. I took you through imagination process, which I encourage you to practice. Practice it for like 10 days and let me know. I'm very curious to hear from you, you know, whether anything's changed. Even if you like wake up happier every morning and more motivated, that's amazing. That's a great start. Look for the subtle, smallest changes. Maybe you walk outside and you find a coin. Great. You know, universe is sending you signals all the time. You just got to stay away to them. And lastly, decisions. We've got to get out of our heads more and connect to our bodies through our intuition. And we all experience intuition differently. So I'm going to share with you where you can generate your human design and read up about your authority and your energy, and your energy type. And hopefully that will give you a bit of a kickstart. So I'm going to leave you with the last slide. And just to remind you that often to achieve our goals, we don't actually even have to change what we do. That's the funny bit. But almost always we have to change who we are. We've got to change our identity. And when we change who we are, what we do also changes. And this change, guys, beginning by changing our energy first, by stepping outside our comfort zones, by expanding our minds and staying open to possibilities. But most importantly, by taking radical responsibility for every single thing that is happening in our lives. So thank you so much for being here with me. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, please do so. If you've got any questions on human design, you want to jump deeper, then yeah, just let me know. Or even just got general questions, I would love to hear from you. So we've got a bit of time, I think, for Q&A. If you guys want to unmute, ask questions. I'm gonna stop sharing. I recently found about human design and love what I find. Cool. So what is your, is it Caroline? What's your human design type? Oh, here's
I'm
the
a
slide, guys.
manifesting generator.
Nice. Yeah, cool. So did that resonate with you?
Yes, completely.
Yeah. I'm just typing there. Here's the link, guys, if you want to go and, you know, after the session, we write up. Yeah, I mean, you can call it manifesting, law of attraction, goal setting. It's all the same, isn't it? It's helping us to achieve what we want. But the key thing I find, guys, I've been on this journey for a long time. And honestly, it's like, I'm writing everything. I'm affirming, why is it not working? And it's our limiting beliefs. Because as I said, you know, it's like you're climbing a mountain, but imagine there's like 5 people, they all have to get to the top together. But if 2 of them are not on board, you can't get to the top. And that's what limiting beliefs do to us. So absolutely do that. Do this process all the time, but become aware. Start catching yourself. Where are you reacting? Where are you being triggered? Where are you doubting yourself? And start changing it, rewiring it over and over and over again. You know, using the process I've shared with you or whatever else that resonates with you. So it's not just like, I'm going to write this every day and it's going to happen. It's a part of it, but you've got to use the whole model together. I hope that helps. Okay. Any more questions, guys? Cool. Well, if you don't have any more questions, you've got my details. You're welcome to connect and, you know, and ask me whatever you like to ask me. And thank you so much again for joining us today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Lena, for this session. It was really interesting and enlightening. And thank you everyone who joined today. And I wish you all like a lovely morning, evening, depending on where you're in the world. And keep on like cleaning your energy. It really helps. So yeah.
Definitely. And you're welcome, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.